I've asked most of my guests this particular question. And, you know, to be totally candid with you, one of the reasons I'm asking people this question is because I don't know the answer. I'm kind of trying to find the answer myself. And so I feel super fortunate to be able to ask this question to guys like you, girls like Dr. East, the U.S. Congressman. And the question is this: we're going through right now some of the most difficult times our country's ever been through, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's race relations, the police brutality stuff. We've got the politics, which is completely insane. And so, John, what are your kind of, how do you see the next 6, 8, 12 months, 18 months? Like, where is this all headed? Because frankly, I see two potential outcomes, one pretty good and one's pretty bad. And so I'm curious what your views are on how we kind of get through this and emerge. I want to emerge, not just to get through it. I'm hoping that we emerge as a country even stronger as a result of this. But what are your views?
You know what? You're right. And that was so disappointing to see, you know, some of the movement and the protests, you know, especially when they really began. I think it was in late March, early April, but up to that point, I remember Carrie and I were talking, it's like, this is going to be better for us. We haven't had something like 9/11, you know, in 20 years, and this is going to unify the country. Yeah. It's going to make us stronger. And unfortunately, it was quite the opposite. And I still can't figure out if this was just this quagmire, just ready to just, you know, explode, which it did. But to answer your question, I said this earlier, you know, Coach Slocum, you know, be part of the solution is, I heard that and I was like, you know, you're absolutely spot on, but it's not always easy in these times that we can be part of the solution. Although I will tell you, I'm not going to make matters worse. I'm not going to rant and rave on social media. I'm going to make the most of our situation and try to lead my team and my group through these challenges. And not one of us, and Brian, you said there's two outcomes. I think there's many more, and none of them are going to be easy. And it depends on what side of this you sit on. I'm not necessarily speaking politically or you know, racial BLM type of stuff, or, you know, was this some sort of, you know, biowarfare? Who knows? But it was definitely, you know, a warning of what could continue in a different form and in many different ways. I mean, just this is not something that we were familiar with and studying. You heard the predictions, which are mind-blowing to hear people predict really what has occurred. But I even think of white-tailed deer and chronic wasting disease and the prions and all of these dangerous organisms that are just, you know, a few years away from mutating in some way that could hurt human beings. So all I can say is that there's challenges that we've each gone through personally, whether it's a divorce or financial problems or losing loved ones. You know, it's similar challenges that these are going to create for us and the world moving forward. And just like those other challenges, is you just have to remain positive and make the most of your situation, whether it's your family, your friends, or your business, because we can't predict the future right now. So, you know, and I don't know what Blake Sawyer's response is, but I can see how Blake would act in this situation. That was the most positive leader with the can-do spirit regardless how bad it was, Blake could overcome anything because of his attitude.
Well, and one of the things I've always loved about Blake in particular, and a lot of people like him, is they can hold two ideas in their head at one time. So for instance, when did it become the rule, John, that we have to be either on the side of the police or on the side of minorities? Like, why can't we say we're on the side of the police? 99% of police are awesome people, but there are a couple bad apples and they need to get the fuck out of the department immediately. And also at the same time say there are problems with police brutality in the minority communities. We need to figure out the cause of that, and we need to try to address that and not take one side or the other. Like, when did it become the rule that we couldn't be on everybody's side? Like, we're all Americans. We're trying to get through this together. Why can't we just say, okay, there's been some problems. Tell me what your problems are. Okay, cops, there's been some problems. Tell me what your problems are. And let's work together to try to solve It is totally and completely baffling to me
No,
how we
I
just
don't, I
have to
truly,
split down the middle. I mean,
here's what I believe, Brian. I don't believe that the entire, let's just say the country, the whole country of minorities does not feel this way. It's this small minority group that has, they have the platform right now, but any of the minorities that I interact with, it's all laughable to them. And it's not the way they feel. To a certain degree, they're embarrassed that
yeah,
I look at them and I'm wondering, are you feeling this way? Is this what you truly think? No,
yeah.
they don't want everybody to be wondering, are you feeling this way, that you're whatever it is. And there's a lot of things out there to be thinking right now, or feeling. But I will say this, it does come down to training, but unless you've been in that position with a loaded firearm ready to take somebody's life, knowing that somebody else is on the other side about to take your life, it's hard to be a judge. So it comes down to training and making sure our law enforcement officers in that situation still keep their head,
And
because
so,
that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
so what I would argue, and I've talked about this a little bit, is we don't need to defund the police. We need to provide more funding for better training. We need better trained police officers. We do not. And one of the things that has bothered me for years, John, is I don't want to pay taxes. Nobody wants to fucking pay taxes. Of course we don't want to pay taxes. But if you don't pay taxes, who the hell is going to pay the police? Who's going to pay the military? Who's going to pay the teachers? If you really, really support the military, the police, teachers, prosecutors, judges, people like that, it doesn't mean you have to like paying taxes, but that's how they get paid. That's how they get benefits. That's how they get raises. And so this again gets back to what we're talking about is, why can't we kind of get to in other words, like, why can't we figure out what the root cause of some of these issues are and try to solve it? Like for instance, the Breonna Taylor thing to me, okay, and this might be somewhat controversial, but I haven't seen any evidence at all, and maybe it's out there, I just haven't seen it, that this was a racially motivated shooting. What I saw was the dumbest idea in law enforcement history, literally knocking on somebody, going into somebody's house, a no-knock warrant in the middle of the night, a nonviolent offense. Of course somebody's going to shoot back. That is terrible. That puts everybody at risk. So to me, what I'm getting at there, John, is why can't we focus on like the underlying causes some of this stuff? I don't think the Breonna Taylor thing was a racial thing. I think the Breonna Taylor thing was a result of no-knock warrants and putting good police officers in.
You took the words out of my mouth.